This is Breaking News, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
A deadly weapon, attempt murder with use of a deadly weapon, and a number of other felonies. They were arraigned this morning. Bail could have been addressed, but both defense counsels chose not to address bail today, so both of these defendants are currently being held on no bail. One of the defendants has a preliminary hearing scheduled for October 10th, the other one a few weeks later in November. At this point, the cases are separated, but I'm extremely confident that in the near future they will be joined together and there will be one case instead of two defendants divided between two cases. So the next step is preliminary hearings, which will occur in the near future. And that is when a judge will listen to the evidence to determine whether or not there is sufficient evidence to send these cases to district court for trial. Okay, questions?
So will they be held no bail until the prelims?
Yes. There is a no bail setting on both these defendants until a preliminary hearing when bail can be addressed at that point. We will be seeking no bail continuously.
How unusual is that there be no bail at this point?
It's not that unusual. Both of these defendants are charged with the most serious crimes, murder with use of a deadly weapon, and other very serious felonies. So it's not unusual for a no bail setting.
Could you describe the change in the charges?
You know, the expression I use is police arrest and prosecutors charge. We filed the most serious charges against both these defendants, but after my screening deputy reviewed some of the charges that defendant Ayala was booked on, we decided there was insufficient evidence at this point, but we can always re-add those charges. Bless you.
What's the method you can use to consolidate these cases?
Oh, there's a number of methods. Let's wait for Vanessa to get her act together. That's okay. There's a number of things we can do to combine these charges. We can file a motion to consolidate, and there's other methods as well.
It's not usual for the cases to be separated at this point, is it?
Well, what happened was they were booked separately by Metro because one of the defendants was booked before the other defendant. So they got individual case numbers. When they get individual case numbers and individual cases, they start out separately. But like I said, I'm extremely confident that these cases and these defendants will be joined together in one case.
Steve, would this ever be a death penalty case, and why or why not?
You know, I'm not going to discuss the death penalty issue at this point. It's a little premature. We have a process in place for considering whether or not to file a notice of death penalty. That's an extremely important process. I respect that process, but it's too early on to discuss that at this point.
Do you intend to take this case to a grand jury?
You know, we're considering all our options. A grand jury is one of them. I have an excellent prosecutor assigned this case, and the discussions of whether or not we go to a grand jury will be occurring in the near future.
You spoke with Andy's family today. We saw. Do you want to describe what they told you and or how they feel?
Andy's family is very strong. They're good people. They loved their husband and father, and that's why they're attending every court appearance. They're smart, they're attentive, they plan to participate in the proceedings. They are good people, and they're a pleasure to work with.
Steve, could you address what's now publicly available in the arrest report about police saying there was a lack of remorse, sort of a reference to the juvenile system, I'll get a slap on the wrist?
No, I'm not going to address that.
I know you said deciding on the death penalty is premature right now, but is there any way to even pursue that if both the defendants are teenagers?
Probably not. But again, that'll be something that I discuss with the death penalty committee. Whether the law applies, whether they can even be considered for the death penalty is something that the committee will review. If they're not eligible for the death penalty, then we won't seek it.
And can you elaborate on why Ayala has more charges than Keys?
I can just tell you that after reviewing all of the evidence, based upon what was submitted to us, there was sufficient evidence to charge defendant Ayala with those charges and not the other defendant with the charges that he's facing. But again, this is an ongoing investigation. The police are always reviewing the evidence, and if we feel that there is evidence to support the additional charges, we will file those. But I want to emphasize that both these defendants are charged with this most serious charge of murder with use of a deadly weapon. Okay, we're good. Thank you all very much.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.